The $1 trillion Apple deal everyone is sharing about Eala is not what you think. Right now, thousands of people are sharing a headline claiming a 21-year-old from Quezon City just signed the biggest contract in the history of sports. $1 trillion. 20 years. Apple. Nike supposedly humiliated, left behind, watching their biggest young star walk out the door. It sounds unbelievable. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly why it is unbelievable, and what is actually happening with Eala right now, because the real story is stranger, and in some ways more impressive, than the fake one. Stay with me until the end, because there is a pattern hiding behind stories like this one, and once you see it, you will never look at your feed the same way again. Before we go further, if you care about the truth behind viral sports stories as much as I do, this is exactly the kind of channel you want to be subscribed to. Every single week, wild claims like this one spread across social media faster than anyone can check them, and somebody has to sit down, dig through the actual sources, and tell you what's real. That's what happens here. If that matters to you, subscribe right now, because the next story like this one is already on its way. So let's start with what the viral post actually claims. It says Eala, the Filipina tennis sensation, just walked away from Nike to sign a $1 trillion, 20-year endorsement deal with Apple, unveiled on a stage at Apple Park alongside Tim Cook himself. It claims Nike's stock dropped. It claims the internet erupted. It claims fans flooded Nike's comment sections calling it the biggest mistake in sports history. Here is the problem. None of it happened. Keep watching, because the real explanation for where this story came from might surprise you more than the fake headline did. There is no Apple sports endorsement. There is no $1 trillion contract, and there could not be one, because that number alone is larger than nearly every company on earth is even worth. Apple itself, one of the most valuable companies in history, is worth a few $1 trillion total. No brand on the planet has ever paid an athlete anywhere close to that figure for an endorsement, not LeBron, not Messi, not Ronaldo. When a number sounds too big to be real, it usually is. And Eala hasn't gone anywhere. As of this very week, she is still one of Nike's global brand ambassadors. In fact, Nike just unveiled her official custom kit for this year's US Open, a blue and white design that mirrors the colors worn by the Philippine national teams in basketball, football, and volleyball. They released a matching shirt featuring a flower design tied to her heritage. This is not a brand quietly backing away from a star. This is a brand actively building around her for one of the biggest stages of the year. So where did the fake story come from? This is the part that should genuinely concern you, and I promise, it gets more interesting from here. Eala has become one of the most talked about young athletes on the planet, and that kind of attention creates the perfect environment for fabricated stories to spread. This has already happened before. Earlier this year, a viral post falsely claimed she had signed a $45 million endorsement deal with Wilson Sporting Goods. Fact-checkers had to step in and shut it down. Around the same time, another completely false claim spread saying she had donated millions of pesos to homeless communities in Quezon City after a tournament win. That one wasn't true either. This Apple story fits the exact same pattern: a real athlete, a real wave of public excitement, and a fabricated headline built specifically to ride that wave for clicks. Why does it work? Because the real version of Eala's story is already so extraordinary that an exaggerated fake version doesn't feel impossible. That's what makes this dangerous. The fake headlines aren't randomly generated. They're built on top of something true. And here's where the actual story becomes worth telling, because you don't need a fake $1 trillion contract to understand why Eala matters right now. This is a young woman who broke through in 2025 with a run to the Miami Open semifinals that nobody saw coming. She became the first Filipino player in the Open era to win a Grand Slam junior singles title. In 2026, she claimed her first WTA Tour title at the Washington Open, beating Jessica Pegula in the final. She pushed deep into Wimbledon, reaching the second week in her center court debut against a defending champion. She has wins over Grand Slam champions, including Iga Swiatek and Madison Keys. Her ranking has climbed into the world's top 20, a number that once felt almost impossible for a player from a country without a long history of producing global tennis stars. And the crowds. Wherever she plays, Filipino flags fill the stands. Fans have been showing up in numbers large enough that opposing players have publicly commented on it. Tournaments in Toronto and Cincinnati have felt like home games for her, thousands of miles from home. That part of the story, the part about her genuinely moving an entire community, that part is completely real. It doesn't need to be exaggerated with a fake tech company merger to matter. So why does Nike matter here, and not Apple? Because Nike has been building with her for a while now, not walking away from her. They designed her a custom white visor at Wimbledon etched with a Tagalog phrase. They gave her a hair accessory shaped like the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. They released a limited edition capsule collection tied to her heritage, featured in a Vogue Philippines shoot. This is a real, active, growing partnership, not a broken one. Here's the part that should make you pause before you ever share a headline like this one again. Stories like the fake Apple deal spread because they're emotionally satisfying before anyone checks if they're true. People want to believe the underdog just won everything, all at once, in the most dramatic way possible. And when that story includes numbers so big they stop feeling real, most people don't stop to question them. They just feel the excitement, and they hit share. But the actual story of Alexandra Eala doesn't need inflation. A 21-year-old from Quezon City breaking into the top 20 in the world, becoming the face of a growing Nike partnership, and pulling crowds across entire continents that rival some of the biggest names in the sport, that is already remarkable enough on its own. So here's what I want you to walk away with. The next time you see a headline claiming an athlete signed a deal so massive it doesn't sound real, pause before you share it. Ask where it came from. Ask if any major outlet has actually confirmed it. Because somewhere out there, a completely real, completely earned story is happening at the exact same time, and it deserves your attention more than the fake one ever will. And as for Eala, her real next chapter is already unfolding. She's heading into this US Open projected to become the first player from the Philippines ever to earn a main draw seeding at this tournament. No trillion-dollar plot twist required. Just a young athlete, a growing partnership with the brand that's been building around her all along, and a crowd of flags that keeps getting louder every single time she steps onto the court. If you want to be here when that story actually plays out, subscribe now, because trust me, with a player like this, the real headlines are going to be just as wild as the fake ones, and you don't want to miss when they happen for real.